They look pretty good to me. You ready? Hello, folks. What was that?
I should try not to yawn while we're saying hello, folks.
So, we're back for the second to last. There are 2 more episodes of The Bachelorette.
Yes, well, I mean, technically only 1 more episode of The Bachelorette, and next week is the mental also.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's a little different.
So this episode included a whole bunch of crazy stuff while there's yawn number 1, folks. While the 3 gentlemen went to Rachel's hometown to meet with her entire family. It was an exciting episode. All kinds of stuff happened. Whoa. So we're just going to dive right in. Megan, who gets the All the Feels Award for this episode?
So for this episode, we're giving the All the Feels Award to Eric. Eric gave us a lot of feels a lot throughout the show, but specifically when he finally told, I feel like we were all on the edge of our seats during this time, but when he finally told Rachel that he loved her, and then from there, I feel like he just had this weight that was lifted off of his shoulders, and he just seemed so much happier and so much freer around her, and even more like, genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's always genuine, but it was just like this whole other layer of him was unveiled after he told her that he loved her. And he had said that he loved her before, but it wasn't good enough for Rachel because I don't know why.
She's a diva.
Because she's a super ridiculous diva, and I feel like I don't know. But anyway, this was the first time that he said, I love you, not I'm in love with you or I'm falling in love with you. He actually said, I love you. But before he said that, he gave her all of these reasons why he loved her and what that meant and all of these special feelings that he had with her and why he thinks that she is the one for him.
Mm-hmm.
And after he told her that, their relationship changed and she seemed happy because she heard what she wanted to hear. Rachel's only happy when she hears what she wants to hear. And but it was really adorable to see him open up and to finally say it and see that big grin on his face.
Yeah.
So for this week, he gets all the feels for saying he loves Rachel.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to watch. Rachel, they kept cutting into their little time together with her interviews with the camera, and you could tell that she was bothered that he just hadn't come out and said that he loved her yet. So, and then when he finally did, it changed everything, which is stupid.
She's a different person.
Because if she had been listening and really genuinely cared about him and what he had to say, she would have felt that since last episode. Or was it 2 episodes ago? Last episode when he said it the first time. Stupid. Now, these hometowns were particularly...
Her hometown.
Yeah, I said these hometowns.
Oh, it sounded like it was the hometowns one. Sorry.
No. Her hometown episodes or her hometown experiences were particularly fun to watch. The first 2 guys that we saw her take back to meet her family were Peter as the number 1, Eric as number 2, Bryan as number 3. Now, Peter came in and pretty much immediately told them, hey, look, I don't know that I'm ready to marry your daughter. I'm not going to ask you for your blessing. I just want you to know that I'm keeping her best interest at heart. And if I do end up engaged at the end of this, it's because I want to marry her. But even if not, I will be pursuing a relationship towards marriage if I stay to the end. Which was, again, super refreshing and really nice that he was just straight up and honest with them. They all really appreciated that. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty rewarding, I felt like. And then it came around to Eric, and Eric was also really straightforward. I mean, everybody loved Eric. He fit in really, really well. The whole family dug him. Then Bryan came along, and immediately just the tone in the house was sour towards Bryan. Now, this is ABC. They can edit things however they want to. I don't really trust their editing at all. They're definitely trying to tell us a story and trying to convince us that, Bryan's the underdog or whatever. but you could definitely tell that her entire family didn't really like him. And they did this interesting thing where her uncle, I believe it was, asked him a question. He asked Bryan, what traits or what things has Rachel brought out of you? And Bryan got really weird, super flustered, and asked to be excused from the dinner table where they were all sitting. I mean, he sucked.
And they never ever came back that I remember. Now I was live tweeting, so I wasn't paying 100% attention. But I don't think they ever came back.
I don't think they did.
To him answering that question.
Which is so dumb. I mean, like, it's not a complicated question. And anytime anybody in that family, her mom did it a couple times, asked him a targeted question that required more than just "I love your daughter," like some element of thinking.
Depth.
Any depth. Whoa. The cats are being crazy. If anyone asked any question that asked or required any depth as an answer, Bryan got super weird, couldn't do it, got really uncomfortable, really telling. And it also freaked out her entire family that Bryan was such a mama's boy. They caught onto it right away. So they're kind of grilling Bryan because it's clear that he's just maybe not the most trustworthy person in the world. And it really made Rachel frustrated. So we are giving Rachel the most angry award this episode because she got really frustrated with her family when Bryan got up and left the table. She got real frustrated with her mom, so much so that her brother-in-law called her out for it because she was definitely acting on her emotions and just not thinking rationally. We've been saying that the whole damn time.
Everyone's been saying that.
So has everybody else. Yeah, exactly. So, ridiculous.
And I think she got the most annoyed, what it seemed like, was when her mom kept asking similar questions to get at, when push came to shove, would Bryan choose his mother's point of view or Rachel's, or like stand up for his wife?
Yeah.
And he had a really, the first time around he just kind of answered it real fast. But then when she asked him again in kind of a slightly different way, he got really unsure about his answer, and there was a lot of hesitation. And basically, you could tell he said his wife because he knew that's what everyone wanted to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was to me very obvious.
He would definitely choose his mom.
But he would definitely choose his mother. Yeah. And so, or at least try it a couple times. And I think Rachel's mom saw right through that, and that's why she kept asking him in different ways the same question. And so when he left after her uncle had asked that question, she looked to her mom, and that's what she was like, "Why did you keep asking him that question? He gave you the answer you wanted to hear." Blah 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 blah. And then that's what really happened, and that's what really got them or got her blood boiling, if you will. So, most angry award goes to Rachel this week. And just kind of hand in hand with that, our most annoying award this week goes to Bryan, specifically Bryan in Rachel's hometown. He was just so full of schmooze and grossness that when he would talk to them, like, he literally, it just sounded like he's in love with the idea of being in love with Rachel and not really being in love with Rachel, because when they would ask for specificities about the way he felt, how she had changed him, he had changed her, he didn't really ever have anything to say. And then also, he was the only one that got to meet some of her friends. And when they were having that conversation, he just was, I don't know. Her friends seemed
smiles.
Yeah, well, her friends seemed really kind of basic, and like they just wanted, like they could fall prey to somebody like a Bryan as well. And it seemed like there was a lot going on up here, and so they just were like eating it up, and he was schmoozing them, just saying the same things, but they didn't ask any pointed questions. They just were like, "Oh my gosh, your confidence is so the same," and he was just laughing and loving it. And so I think that when he went into meeting her family, he thought it was going to be exactly the same way, and he would say the exact same fluffy, shallow phrases over and over and over again, and to convince her family. And her family they're really smart people, and they weren't buying it. And so he was just, the weakness in him when he couldn't answer the questions, the just annoying smile and way he kept trying to manipulate literally the same sentence over and over again to try to convince them that he loved Rachel was just pathetic and annoying.
It really was.
You can tell we absolutely can't stand him.
Yeah.
You can't stand anybody in this show besides Eric and Peter and Rachel's family.
Yeah, seriously. Ugh, ridiculous. Back to Eric, though. We're going to give the most adorable award this week to Eric for a lot of reasons. Megan already talked about how he finally came around and said, I love you very clearly. It was definitely adorable for him to say. You could tell he was trying to really work up to it and give it.
She wasn't letting him.
She wasn't letting him.
She kept trying to ask these pointed questions
Damn
to
it,
basically
Rachel.
get him to say I love you.
Yeah.
And we kept just being like, just leave
let
him
say
alone
it.
and let him get to it. Like he was going
He's
to say
getting
it, but
there.
she interrupted him so much that he couldn't say it and deliver it the way he wanted to.
Gosh. Poor guy. He was definitely trying. He was trying to put more meaning into it than just I love you,
He was very patient through it all.
Good grief.
Kudos to him.
Seriously. So anyway, so there was all that stuff with Eric that was already a fun thing to watch, and then we got to see him with her family, and he just got along with them right away. He was so comfortable. They were comfortable with him. One of the things we love about Eric, and we tweeted about this during our live tweeting of this episode. If you're interested in following along, check us out on Twitter. It's capital P, capital T, present tenses. We pretty much only ever tweet on the Bachelorette nights, but we should probably start doing it more often for other shows that we watch. So follow along. You'll see what happens. But we were commenting on how one of the things that we love about Eric is he always looks sincere. The look in his eyes is like he just sees you, he's listening to you, he's present, and he's there with you in that moment.
He wants to be there with you.
He wants to.
Curious about you.
Absolutely. And I don't think you really get that from any of the guys in the show. You rarely ever see that from anybody, period, just in life. Like, people get tied up in their own heads. They start kind of daydreaming or listening to other stuff while they're listening to other people. And it's just, it's cool to see just the attentiveness that Eric gives to people. He's just all in. He's just all there. And it's just so great to watch. It's really, really fun to watch.
He's a refreshing person.
It really is, which is why I think it makes it so hard when you can see that Rachel clearly doesn't have the feelings for him that she has for somebody like Bryan, who's really clearly into himself. It's telling when there's 3 guys left in the house and 2 of them don't like the other. And I don't think it's a jealousy thing. I think it's just that they see Bryan for who he is. And
well, nobody likes him. But
yeah.
Anyway, so what exactly was most adorable about Eric in this particular?
I just thought it was him and her family. Him and her whole family. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, I thought another thing we had talked about that was adorable with Eric this episode was when they were sitting. It was the extras that we got at the end.
Yeah, go for it.
When they were sitting outside and they were trying to have a conversation, and Rachel was trying to tell him something.
I don't know what she was trying to say.
It was something about her feelings or like being with her family or something. I can't remember exactly. Mm-hmm. But every time she tried to say something, some loud noise would happen, whether it was the church bells or a truck beeping or like some weird sound, like birds like fluttering right above them.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was getting like a little frustrated, and he was just laughing her through it all, and she was picking up on that.
Yeah.
From him, and it was just really adorable to see him like get her like through this frustrating situation for her, and just teaching her to laugh through this.
Mm-hmm.
So Best Dress this week is our next award, and we are giving that to Peter. I also thought, if we were not looking at the guys, just kudos to Rachel's sister and her maternity clothes, because they were on point.
Yeah.
But for the main cast of this show, Peter by far had the best outfit. The one we were thinking of particularly was when he met up with Rachel again in Spain, and he had that cool little jacket on and just like a simple t-shirt and jeans underneath it, but he had these like stellar shoes.
Really great shoes.
That were just like this light brown leather, and they were shiny on the bottom. It was just
leather soles, man.
It was a really cool shoe. They were leather. I thought they looked like tap shoes.
Ooh, tap shoes. Peter's a well-dressed guy. So who would you say is your MVP for this week? It's going to be a shocker. Hold on to your butts, guys and girls.
It's Bryan.
I can't believe it.
I didn't necessarily want to give it to Bryan.
Oh my God.
So, Bryan is the MVP because A, he's the only one that met her friends. B, unfortunately, he was the only one, well, not that she had to stand up for the other ones because her family liked them, but just how angry she got about her family asking him a lot of questions, and how blind she just like was not perceptive in seeing why they were doing that because of her love. And then she also told her mom that she was falling in love with him when he was there visiting. She didn't say that, or at least ABC didn't show us that, and I don't think she did with the other two guys. And it's just I think anybody that's watching it, just very obvious that like in her eyes, in her smile, like she's just not all there with Peter and with Eric. You can tell her mind is elsewhere, that her heart isn't really in it. And when she's with Bryan, it seems like she is. And it seems like that's who she wants to be with, and that she's kind of already has her mind made up.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of annoying too, because like in this episode particularly, like Megan said, Bryan got to meet her friends, the one that signed her up to come on the show in the first place, and they were so pumped to meet him, and he kind of schmoozed it off, and it was clear in that moment that we were like, oh, well, she's already chosen Bryan. Like, clearly she's already chosen Bryan. Why else would she have not shown or like introduced her friends to Peter and Eric? That's ridiculous. I mean, that's crazy. Like, yeah, that was pretty clear. But then also on top of that, like we already know that she's kind of worried about her relationship with Peter. She's said that she's worried about her relationship with Peter over and over again. After things kind of got particularly tricky with Peter in this episode, when he kind of expressed his feelings about engagement, which we'll come back to in a minute, she kind of stated that she used to be able to see this ending well with Peter, and now she's not so sure. Which is insane, because that's her insinuating that she used to see herself ending up marrying Peter, but now she doesn't know because of how he feels about engagement. But the whole time, she's been kind of leaning heavily towards Bryan. Like, really heavily towards Bryan. And Peter's been really on the fence for a pretty long time. So that was really dumb. And then beyond that, too, there was this really awful little thing that was probably something ABC did, not something that Rachel did, where Eric and Rachel, when they were in Spain, they went to this old little monastery where there was a bell, and if you rang the bell 3 times, you made a wish, that wish would come true. So she led Eric up to the bell, and they kind of rang the bell together, and they each kind of silently made their own wishes. All right, so we know that she's wished that Eric would say that he loves her for quite some time now. She's been frustrated that he hasn't. She says that they've had some ups and downs, which we can't really figure out what those ups and downs were, unless they were just things off camera that we just didn't see. So throughout all of this, we can assume that Eric is probably standing there ringing that bell thinking, oh, I hope I get to marry this girl. Well, what is Rachel thinking? I mean, if she's thinking like, I hope I can go back home and drink some more mimosas, like, fine, that's an acceptable wish. But, I mean, is she wishing like, I hope I get to marry Peter? I hope I get to marry Bryan? Because I seriously doubt that her wish at that monastery was to marry Eric. I couldn't imagine that she was wishing that.
I was hoping that she had wished that that he would say I love you, and then when he did say that he loved her, she would be like, "That my wish came true."
That
like,
would have been perfect.
That's what I was hoping,
but none of that was made clear. So I just feel like she was probably wishing that she and Bryan could end up together, or she and Peter could do it. I just doubt.
Or the copper would live forever.
Or then her dog would live forever. Exactly. So we're going to touch on something throughout the some of the remainder of the episode that was probably the most confusing part of the whole episode tonight. And that is Rachel's whole perspective on engagement and marriage. Now, this is just going to be our point of view on this stuff. We'd love to hear yours. If you feel like there's other things to add or maybe different ways to think about it, please let us know in the comments below. We'd love to talk about it with you and kind of think about this kind of stuff in different ways. But she was having a conversation with Peter tonight, and Peter mentioned to her that he had talked to her family about how he may not be ready to get engaged to her at the end of this, because to him, engagement was essentially a kind of sign of a certainty that there was going to be marriage. Essentially, when you say, "Hey, guess what? We're engaged," that's you saying, "We're married, we're just planning a date." That's how we feel about engagement. Otherwise, why would there be an engagement instead of just jumping from boyfriend, girlfriend to married, which is ridiculous.
That's called eloping.
Seriously. Peter was pretty clear on, look at that.
I'm losing my hair, guys. I'm losing my hair.
That was just like an awesome pile of it.
It's just one.
Yeah.
It's just one piece. Wasn't a pile of it.
It was a pile of one piece of hair. Peter was pretty clear that he felt that marriage began with engagement, and you moved into engagement when you moved. That was so weird.
I was like holding all my breath in from like this yawning, so when I laughed, like all the breath came out.
That was awesome. And that you moved to engagement from being a boyfriend and a girlfriend. So you're in a committed relationship. You move from that into engagement, which moves into marriage. And the boyfriend-girlfriend thing is you essentially figuring out, like, can I be with this person forever? Can I marry this person forever? Once you're sure of it, you put a ring on that finger, you move into engagement while you're planning the marriage. Because marriages take a while to pull together unless you're going to elope. In
weddings,
which case, yeah, weddings take a while to pull together unless you're going to elope. So that's what the engagement period's for. Then at the end of that, you're married, and to every single person on the show so far this season, they've all talked about how they want to be married forever. So that's that.
That's what they all say.
Now, Rachel's opinion on this stuff is that she believes that she also only wants one engagement, just like Peter said. She wants one marriage, just like Peter said, but she doesn't agree that engagement should also equal marriage. But then also she didn't say anything about why she doesn't agree with that. She didn't say anything at all about why she felt like Peter was wrong, why she was so bothered by the fact. I feel like, if anything, she was just struggling to put into fact the words that she was irritated that he wouldn't just commit to her right then and there after barely weeks of knowing her.
Didn't say what she wanted to hear.
That's exactly right. But I heard you heard something interesting on Twitter.
So, yes. So what I heard was somebody had tweeted about how that didn't make sense and how frustrating it was. And she tweeted back at them and said that it was very choppy editing.
Oh.
And that ABC didn't put everything in that was talked about during that conversation.
Classic.
And that Peter was talking about engagement outside of the Bachelorette world, a normal engagement. And she was talking about engagement under the premise of the Bachelorette world, which is different. Which again, to me, is still somewhat confusing because engagement is engagement.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just that what it appears to be, if we're looking at other people that have been on the show.
Yeah.
They get engaged at the end, but they date for 2 or 3 years before getting married. That's generally how, that's where Joella and Jordan are right now.
JoJo?
That's her.
Oh, yes. Joella?
I
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's where JoJo and Jordan are. that's where Sean and Caitlin are. And so, and even
that's interesting.
Nick and Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
But so the idea is that within the what I'm thinking she means by that is that in the Bachelor world, you get engaged at the end because that is the representation that you want to be with that person. But none of them get married yet. Like, they date. So it's basically like, I am committing to being in a long-term relationship with you that will hopefully end in marriage. So what Peter is saying is, I don't want to get engaged to you until I've dated you. Just because any of these couples have rings on their fingers doesn't mean that they're going to get married. They're just dating each other with these rings on their fingers, thinking it. You don't have to have a ring on your finger to be in that level of a committed relationship or not.
You know what I bet it is? I bet it's because that's what success looks like on The Bachelorette. And she's definitely a competitive person. Like, if she gets through this and she's not engaged according to Bachelorette standards, she probably lost The Bachelorette. Even if she ends up getting married to Peter 2 years down the road, which is what Peter's saying, and she's essentially saying, no, I want to be engaged with the availability to break up if I want to.
But she also believes in one engagement.
Oh, I think it's like Walter by the light.
Do you guys see the shadow on the door back there? I think it's the cat.
Oh, yeah.
How spooky was that, though? I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, but it's like
He's standing up here behind the TV.
it's like the cat walking past the lamp in there, but it definitely looked like there was somebody creeping around back there in that back room, which was definitely freaky for a moment. Look, guys, if you're ever watching this YouTube video, or any YouTube video for that matter, and you see a suspicious lurker in the background, leave a comment in the comments below.
Yes.
So, what do you all think about that concept of engagement, especially through the lens of The Bachelorette? Let us know below. We'd love to hear.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Oh, no, we need to say, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe.
If you like what you see and you want to continue watching these Bachelorette videos, and Game of Thrones is another one that we do. If you like either of those things, then please subscribe to our channel, and you won't have to worry about going and checking, but you'll get a little email in there in your inbox to let you know when we have a new video about The Bachelorette. So don't forget to subscribe, like this, comment with our questions we asked below, and share it. If you like what you see, share it with your friends and on your social media, and let other people know about it. So thank you so much for watching, and for all of your comments and feedback on these different Bachelorette episodes. We really appreciate it, and we like talking with you guys.
Yeah, and also we've been shooting this stuff on our iPhone cameras with one terrible little light and no microphone. And we made a promise to ourselves, when we hit 5,000 views on our channel, we're going to buy a nicer point-and-shoot camera so we can take better quality video, and we might pick up like a little mic and maybe even another light, so that way just the production quality of these look better for all of you people that sit through them all the time, that we're super thankful for. So if you want to see that, and we sure do, help us get more views, because that way we can hit our personal goal and spend money on this stuff, because it's not super cheap, and we're kind of giving ourselves a goal to get there. So,
yes.
All right, I think that's it for tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all. You ready?
Yes.
So long, folks.